Biden in the United States, Xi Jinping in China, and Zelensky in Ukraine. Whether president, chairperson, or prime minister, these people all have one thing in common. They are the undisputed leaders of their nations and represent their countries on the world stage. But is there a single individual in the EU that citizens can all point to as our representative on the world stage? The answer is complicated, and therefore this video will look at the 4 presidents of the EU and explain their roles, whether they are chosen by EU citizens, and determine which one, if any, can be said to be the best leader of the EU. Let's start off with the head of the executive branch of government, often considered the leader in nations, and this would be Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission since 2019. The President of the European Commission is charged with leading the institution which proposes EU law. In a sense, they stand at the head of the ship, driving the EU legislation and representing the EU on the international stage. But are they elected by the EU citizens? Well, as usual, it's complicated. The EU Council, made up of the European heads of state, chooses a nominee. Then the EU Parliament, elected by the people, need to vote this nominee in. Up next, we have the President of the European Council, Charles Michel. The President of the European Council chairs meetings between the European heads of state and allows for smoother discussions between them. The President also undertakes foreign trips to represent the EU alongside the President of the European Commission. The process for choosing the President of the European Council is less accountable to European citizens, however. They are chosen by the heads of state within the Council, but don't require approval by the European Parliament. So what about the President of the European Parliament? This position is currently held by Roberta Metsola and is responsible for chairing meetings, making sure everyone gets ample speaking time, enforcing the rules of procedure, and representing the Parliament in all legal and international affairs. The President is elected to their position in a special vote by all MEPs in the Parliament. Some of you may also wonder about the presidency of the Council of the European Union. This is slightly different. The presidency of the Council of the EU is a rotating position held by an entire country and guides meetings between national ministers of the member states of the EU. The current holder is Sweden, who took over the position only a few weeks ago from Czechia. Check the link above for a video covering this topic. So among these 4, who is the real leader of Europe? Here's what we think. In our view, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is the closest candidate to a leader of the EU. We also recognize that the process for choosing the President of the Commission could be vastly improved, such as through the Spitzenkandidaten process. This would allow the President to be chosen among the members of the European Parliament, giving European citizens the right to choose their head of the executive through elections. This system was applied successfully in 2014, but hit a snag in 2019. It's a complicated issue, so we'll have to cover it in its own video. But who do you think leads the EU? Leave a comment below, like this video, and subscribe to the EU Made Simple for more content.